I get it. You scroll through endless listings, see a sleek pair of binoculars with glossy photos, and imagine the perfect moment when you'll spot that rare warbler or catch a distant mountain summit in crystal clear detail. Then the box arrives, you pull the lenses out, and the image looks flat, the view is narrower than you expected, and the whole experience feels like a letdown. That frustration is why I'm diving into this review. I want to make sure you don't waste money on a pair that looks good on paper but falls short when you actually use it in the field. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Swarovski Optik 10x30 CL Companion Wild Nature is marketed as a compact, waterproof roof prism binocular that promises wild nature performance without the bulk of a full-size pair. It's a 10 magnification instrument with a 30mm objective, BAK4 prisms, and a proprietary coating system that Swarovski says improves light transmission. Those are the headline numbers you'll see on any product page, but the real question is, how do those numbers translate when you're standing on a trail, a birdwatching blind, or a city balcony at dusk? First off, let's talk about the kind of person who will actually benefit from this mix of specs. If you're a weekend hiker who likes to bring a lightweight optical tool that can double as a quick-look wildlife aid, the 10 Power gives you enough reach to see a bird perched on a far branch without having to crouch or strain. The 30mm objective, while not as large as a classic 842, still gathers more light than a true 825 compact set, which means the image stays reasonably bright on overcast days or in the early morning light that many birders adore. The roof prism design keeps the profile slim, so it slides easily into a backpack pocket, and the waterproof seal means you don't have to worry about a sudden drizzle turning the optics foggy. Now, if you're an avid birdwatcher who spends entire mornings in a marsh and needs a wide field to follow flocks, the 6.2-degree angle of view, about 0.5 the width of the sky, can feel restrictive. You'll find yourself doing a little more scanning motion to locate a moving subject compared with a 7-degree or larger field that you'd get on a 842. In practical terms, that's fine if you're hunting for a single, stationary bird perched on a branch, but it becomes a bit of a chore when you're trying to track a flock of sandpipers as they wheel across a wetland. So, the binocular excels for focused, detail-oriented viewing rather than rapid, sweeping scans. One of the strengths that often gets lost in the spec sheet is the quality of the exit pupil that comes from the BAK4 prism paired with the proprietary coating. In real use, that combination gives you a crisp, high-contrast image with a round exit pupil that feels natural to the eye. When I held the companion up to a distant ridge while the sun was low, the contrast between the rock face and the shadows was surprisingly sharp, making it easier to pick out individual tree lines. That clarity is a direct benefit of the high-grade glass, and it's something you notice immediately, not after weeks of use. On the flip side, the compact nature does bring a trade-off in low-light performance. A 30mm objective can't collect as much photons as a larger 42mm lens, so if you plan to use these binoculars for dusk wildlife spotting or early evening astronomy, you'll see a bit of dimming and loss of detail compared with a larger objective model. The image won't be grainy, but the brightness will taper off quicker as the ambient light drops below 10 lux. For most daylight activities, that isn't a deal-breaker, but it's worth noting if you intend to push the optics into twilight hours. Another practical point is eye relief. The companion offers about 16mm of eye relief, which is decent for most adults, but if you wear glasses, you may need to adjust the twist-up lever a bit more than you'd expect. I tried it with my reading glasses on a windy ridge, and while I could get a full field without vignetting, it required a slight lift of the eye cups. That's a minor inconvenience, but it's something to keep in mind if you're a regular glasses wearer who doesn't want to fiddle with adjustments every few minutes. Weight is often a hidden factor in the compact claim. The binocular weighs around 600 grams, which feels light compared with a traditional 842, yet it's heavier than the ultralight 825 models that some hikers favor. If you're counting every ounce for an ultralight backpacking setup, you might still opt for a smaller objective pair. However, for a day trip or a weekend car camp, the weight is hardly noticeable, especially given the added comfort of the rubber-coated grip and the sturdy, weather-sealed housing that lets you toss them in a rain-soaked bag without worrying about internal fog. So, who should buy the Swarovski Optik 10x30 CL Companion? It's a solid choice for anyone who values a blend of